It's all about humanity. About humanity. It's all about humanity. About humanity. It's all about humanity. It's all about humanity. About humanity. It's all about humanity. About humanity. It's all about humanity.
Model citizens, welcome to Humanity Junction. Tonight on Trains and Tech, we're going to talk about a little situation that I found myself in and what I did to kind of take up the time, as well as what I discovered when I started thinking. And it's the thinking that's going to get me in trouble. But I've got a poll question. I'd love it if people would go and answer the poll question. If you don't know the answer, just put, you don't know the answer. But if you know the answer, I'm trying to get a consensus because I'm confused. So what happened was I was wiring my layout, or the section of the layout that you can kind of see behind me, and I ran out of red wire. I can't believe how much red wire I've been using, but nevertheless, ran out of some red wire. So I had to wait. I had to stop wiring. And to make a long story short, this section I'm using different switch motors than the entire rest of the layout. And I did all my testing with the switch motors that I'm using for the rest of the layout. I think I might not be able to do what I want. Anyway, let's get to that. Before we get to that, I thought I'd go through some of the projects that I've been thinking about doing when I wasn't thinking about wiring my layout. I have got, it's funny, it says don't cut the red wire. I've got every color of wire. I've got red and black, I've got blue and white, I've got yellow and brown, I've got orange and brown, and I think that's it actually. So I got enough, oh, and green. How could I forget green? I've got the green for the frog wires. But I think, basically where I'm stuck over here, I think I may have screwed up everything. So now I'm questioning my existence. But I don't know. I don't know. Let's just look. So I made a list, right? I think a list is a good thing, right? Lists are good. Yeah, the silly green wire. Green for frog and ground. No. So no. See, if you use green for the frog wire, you got to use a different color for the common wire. So depending on what it is, for DCC, my common wire is black, and for my low voltage, my common wire is brown, and for my feedback system, my common wire is white. So everything's all color coded, but that's another conversation for maybe another time, but we'll see. I'm curious, actually. Let's see. So the poll so far, see, this is so far 25% of the people say it will work, and 18% of the people say it won't work. So I don't know. I don't know what to do. But Roy says, did I get more red wire? I did. I got more red wire, and what I actually did is oh, that was the wrong one. I meant to click on that one. What I actually did is I ordered an extra roll as well. So I have this red wire, and then I've got another roll coming Friday, but I don't think I don't think I'll get through. I don't know. I hope I'm nearing the end of buying wire. I bought so much wire. I don't have any purple wire. I'm not haven't been doing any purple wire, so I don't know what to I don't know what to say there. But here's some of the projects that I've been working on, and just if anybody's forgotten, because I haven't talked about it in 600 years, the what's on the left is the layout I'm trying to build, and what's on the right is a list, and we'll talk through that list in a second. But all right, so let me just answer James's question. So I saw James said you need a double pull, double throw switch. Here's the problem. The turnouts have 2 single pull, single throw switches. So my only option, not my only option, the options that I'm trying to go with is using one of these single pull, double throw switches on the turnout to control both the frog power and the LED. I'm trying to use one for both because I want to use the other one for feedback. So one would be for feedback, the other one will be powered for the LEDs in the frog, but I don't think it'll work. But maybe it will work. But I don't know. I'm just so confused now. I've gotten to that point where I've overthought it that I don't I'm hurting my brain. So here's what I've been working on while I was waiting on wire. I was debating whether to answer James's question now or wait until that section of the thing, but James just posted something, so I need to go back. I'll address it now. So the DCC Concepts point motors works. It has everything built into it. I can't use the DCC Concept point motors in the area that I'm talking about. I have to use different turnout motors. So I'm trying to figure out with the different turnout motors whether I can make it work. So yes, I can buy something that is not going to work and use something that's not going to work, but I'm trying to use something that's going to work and figure out if it's going to work the way I want it yet. Barry, of course not. I tested all the DCC Concepts ones. I did not test the wiring yet for the MP5s, but I can. I mean, I'm partially into the wiring, so changing it isn't that big of a deal, but anyway. So I ran out of wire, and this is what I've been working on. So a couple things I've worked on is storage and organization. You always need more storage. I did actually buy, there's 2 more of the storage drawers that I like. I don't know if you can see in the camera or not. You can't. I'm just going to turn the lights on. I got to work on lighting. That's another thing I really have to work on. But I love these storage drawers, right? I think I've shown these storage drawers about 100 times. So I got 2 more of them over here in this corner that I'll start filling up these over here at some point. But right now they're empty, but I'm trying to organize my mess because, you know, when you run out of red wire, that's a good thing to do is organize the mess. I need to add, I don't need to. I want to add power strips to most of the legs. So I've got a power strip over here on this side. I've got 2 power strips under this side of the layout, but this other side of the layout over here is lacking power strips. So I've got nowhere to plug stuff in. So one of the things I want to do is get my power. Things are plugged in over there. Let's just say if somebody came and saw the way it was all plugged in over there, then it wouldn't be good. It's a mess in that corner. Don't look at that corner. What else am I working on? Laying foam on the floor. I went and operated on a Civil War layout, I guess a week and a half ago, and he had on his floor that like foam exercise mat stuff. He was lucky enough that his wife knew of a studio that was closing, and he got a whole bunch of it for free and laid it all around his leg. It was the most comfortable thing to walk on. And the floors in here are stone. And your feet really start to hurt after a while walking around on this floor. So I bought some of that foam exercise matting stuff, and that's on the list as well. So if I do run out of wire again, I may just actually lay foam. The hard part about laying foam is I'm still doing some of the bench work. So I'm still like drilling and cutting and making a bit of a mess. And I'm hesitant to lay down the foam until I'm done making a mess. But I'm also walking around in here a lot now doing all of this wiring. Yeah, it's the, yes, it's that rubber foam interlocking stuff. And you can get it in different thicknesses, like 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch, 1 inch, all these different sizes. So what I did was I bought enough 1/2 inch because it was the cheapest kind of thing. So I bought 1/2 inch, but I bought enough for 2 layers. And 2 layers of 1/2 inch was cheaper than 1 layer of 3/4 inch. Go figure that one out. So I want to lay it down. I'll lay it like overlapping so the stuff. So I think it's going to be really nice and cushy, nice and good to stand on for an op session. But I'm trying to debate where in my process that I want to actually lay it down or not. So foam floor. Now, here are some projects that are way over my head, but I think I'm going to delve into anyway. As people know, I've been doing some stuff with MQTT, and basically what I'm using essentially what MQTT is it's a protocol to get information from one place to the other. And what I've been thinking about is defect detectors. And there used to be a company called Boulder Creek Engineering that had a defect detector. I think it was probably based on an Arduino or something like that, but you could get this defect detector and it would, when it sensed the train go by, it would play an audio, an audio thing of the train going by. And what I was thinking of is, wouldn't it be cool if it could count the number of axles as the train went by, and then your message that it played out would be somewhat relative to the number of cars that went through. Now, in N scale, I'm never going to be able to accurately count the number of axles, but I thought it would be kind of fun to know, oh, like it's, more than 10 or it's less than 10, or, all different kinds of things. So one of the projects that I want to do is I bought a M5 stack Atom Echo, and I bought a brake beam detector from Adafruit. And the idea is that I'm going to use this brake beam detector. And a brake beam detector is, if you don't know, because I didn't know what it was called when I was looking for it, if you ever walk in to a store and like that ding goes off because you've walked through the beam, then that is a brake beam detector, and that will so every time the axle basically breaks that beam, it would count it. So the M5 stack Atom Echo has a speaker in it, and the idea is that if I can get this brake beam detector connected to the Atom Echo, it would give me somewhat of a count of the cars going through, and then it would play audio based on the number of cars that went through. So the resistor axle thing, the only way the resistor axle thing would work is if I had a very, very small detection zone, and it could count every axle as it went over the detection zone, and there was never more than one axle in its detection zone at a time. So unfortunately, I think that is a little more complicated than just using a brake beam detector, and I think it's going to be good enough. I don't think it's going to, you know. So defect detector, hotbox monitor, it's, it's model railroading. I'm doing it just for the fun of doing it. So I may play hotbox messages. I might play defect detector messages. I found a website. There's a website out there that has all kinds of defect detector recordings. And my understanding is, as long as I'm not using them commercially, I could, download them and use them. So my idea was to, I'll download some actual, audio from actual defect detectors. Yeah, and the brake beam, I'll put a brake beam on the door when Bernard comes over, just so if he does grab some trains and starts heading out, when you break the beam, it'll release the dogs, and the dogs will chase you down if you've stolen any trains. So the other project that I'm looking to do, and this is kind of one of those projects where there are 6,000 commercially available products for this. So instead of buying one of the commercially available products, my thought was, why not create it myself and go through the pain and suffering of creating it myself? So that's this RFID project. And again, the idea would be is using MQTT. When a boxcar or a locomotive with an RFID tag on it went past the RFID reader, it would send the tag number back to JMRI, where I could then, see what just went past the RFID detector. I'm not using Arduino, so this M5 stack that I've gotten here, so I've got M5 stack Stick C Plus and an M5 stack Atom Echo. My understanding is they're both ESP-based devices. I don't want to get too into the technical, but I don't know enough to talk about it, essentially. But I think they're ESP8266 devices. The M5 stack stick is what Hans Tanner, the gentleman from Internet of Toy Trains, uses with his devices. So I have from Hans Tanner his purple hat to do speed matching, and he uses the M5 stick. So I thought I'd use the M5 stick for development. Once I finish with development, I'll move over to a cheaper, a cheaper board so that I could put more around the layout. But like this M5 Stack C Plus and the M5 Stack RFID, these two items right here, I think they cost me $30, something like that. So not a lot of money, but it's a little easier on development for people like me that don't know what they're doing than spending $6 on the ESP chip and the RC522 RFID reader. Anyway, I'm losing people. I can tell people are falling asleep. So these are two projects that I keep thinking about, and I think I'm going to try. The other thing, I am, Ralph. 100%. I'm a glutton for punishment. Here's another thing that I bought, right? So this is, I think people are familiar with a company called Iowa Scaled Engineering. They made this thing called the squealer. Part of why some of these other projects are coming up is because when I opened the box for the squealer and saw what was in here, the board that they're using has an ESP32 chip on it. And what ISE is looking to do is to create a soundboard that is a little cheaper than the squealer, but it's a little bit better than their little like sound module box that they do. So one thought is I might work on some of these projects for a little bit and then call up the guys at Iowa Scaled Engineering and say, hey, you're already doing this. Because essentially what I'm looking to do with the defect detector is take a sensor like this and program stuff onto a board and have it play audio, if I can find where the thing is, audio out of a speaker when the sensor is triggered. So essentially they've already done it. Oh, really? Oh, geez. I know they just did the flushing toilet, but yeah, so I'll probably, when I'm up at Amherst, I'll probably talk to them about it. Maybe I'll have, I'll have a prototype going. I used to, so here's a little fact that some people may know or not know. I used to have a discount code with them. For a little while, they were giving out a discount code for people that wanted to buy a Motorman, because I was a huge, huge fan of a Motorman, and I was telling everybody about it. So for a while, you could use the code HUMAN to buy a Motorman at a discount. So yeah, Michael and Nathan, good guys. I may just turn this over to them at some point, but I thought, why not dig a hole before I give it to the professionals? Why not dig a hole and bury myself in it? So that's my, like, yeah, I don't know. I know the idea will work. I don't know if I can create it. I don't know that I can execute it. So that's a little bit where 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 things go. Joey says the only sounds on my current layout to make is the sound of a beverage bottle being tilted back. Oh yeah, there you go. See, Wigwag got himself a Motorman using the discount. Michael and Nathan are good guys. I've cornered Michael a couple times, had some conversations with him. They're really good guys. I didn't realize, Iowa Scaled Engineering is their second business. They don't do it full time. So it's really pretty incredible what they're putting out there, being that they're, they have other jobs as well that they that they do, which is a lot of people, like a lot of people don't jump in with 2 feet like Bernard over at Mini Prints do. Some people like to straddle the fence. Other people, you know, just jump in the pool and go. But yeah, the idea is to get some more model railroad centric sounds on the layout, and I'll have them so they can be turned off and turned on. But the other the other feature, yeah, I would agree that there are people a lot more smarter than me as well. But the idea is just to get some more, railroad centric stuff, but also get things that will provide feedback that I can have put information or bring information into JMRI. So, the defect detector can bring in, information into JMRI saying, oh, this locomotive's got an issue or something like that. Or, the RFID tags can bring the RFID data into JMRI and help identify where things are on the layout. Corey, as funny as that is, that's actually a pretty brilliant idea. The idea of integrating, the DCC sounds into something that's a little more private sounding. I could do some subway sounds. That is true. I don't know, Joey. I don't know if you know this, but that's Iowa Scaled Engineering made the squealer, which is what you're talking about right there. They have a sensor that is apparently, I was told from Roy Eltham, it's the same kind of system that is in a optical mouse. So it can tell whether the train is moving or not over the sensor, kind of like how a mouse can tell if it's moving or not. And it then plays random squealing sounds. So yeah, I get it, Joey. It's kind of one of those things where I like banging my head against the wall, and that is the sort of thing that I like doing. So I search that stuff out. But yeah, the squealer is going to be in this back corner here because it's kind of my longest corner. So as trains come around that corner there, it'll play some things. Yeah, see, sound of trucks backing up. I think, again, I say again because I've said it a lot of times. For me, it's about creating an environment that shows space, time, and distance. And I think lighting and sound are big parts of those things. So yeah, no comment. No comment. So one of the other things I got going on, benchwork updates. So the framing is structural enough to hold things up, but I don't want to rely on it long term. So what I am going to do is I need to add a set of legs in the benchwork over here that you guys can't see that I'm pointing to. This benchwork over here, I'm going to add a set of legs to. I need to add another leg over on this side here, and I need to add just more cross beams and more risers just to make it, it's not that it's not stable as it is. I just want to make it even more stable just in case I do have to move it at some point. So yeah, I'm reading what people are laughing about because I missed it. So yeah, so I'm going to beef up the benchwork now that I know in this section where the turnout motors are going and various other things like that. I can add a little bit more structure underneath and know that it's not going to get in the way of the turnout motors and the various the various things. This is Memorex. We were just talking about sound and you just missed it all. Finish the under the bench work lights. I don't know if I showed this. Oh, I probably shouldn't have done that. I just turned the brighter lights on. Now you won't be able to see the under desk lights. But I do, over here I've got a switch. And this switch turns on some lights under the workbench here so that you can see it. Maybe you can see it flashing on and off. So there's lights under there. And then I've started the lights on this side of the room, but I haven't finished the lighting over here. So I need to, I started basically in this corner with all my wiring and I've been working my way around. So now that I'm over here, I need to get the lights underneath going as well. So just, you know, just another project on the list. I have not answered the poll question because I don't actually know the answer to the poll question, which is why I posted the poll question. So if you'd like to answer the poll question, we could see if we can get a consensus on whether I can figure it out or not. Feel free to answer the poll question. So Bluetooth speakers. The M5 Stack Atom Echo that I'm looking to get is a speaker that is about the size, if you know the size of the Iowa Scaled Engineering speaker, the Atom Echo is about that same size, and it is Bluetooth capable as well. So in addition to making the defect detector and doing that kind of stuff with it, worst case scenario, if I can't make any of that work, I can just use it as a Bluetooth speaker and just play random sounds on it. I'm trying not to have the sounds be random though. I want the sounds to both influence and be influenced by the moving of the trains. So I don't want just sounds to be there just to have sounds. I want them to be, you know, a bit kind of, you know, that tells a bit of the story. So one of the other projects I got coming up that I need to get to sooner than later because I just haven't I just haven't gotten it. I haven't gotten things the way I like it yet. The monitor that's right here to my side, it's just a little bit too high. The way this camera is mounted and stuff, it's actually upside down. And because it's upside down, it's causing some glare and stuff that's difficult to deal with. So one of the first thing on my streaming list is I need to lower this shelf. And everything in front of me right here that you're kind of seeing is hanging off a shelf. So I need to lower this shelf down and then everything will lower and then I need it's overly complicated for what I need to do, but I don't know of any way of getting around not doing it, and I've been kind of struggling with it for now. Yeah. When you hear a guy yelling, "Whoa, whoa, stop," you know you're about to roll off the track leading to an open swing gate. If you remember, when I had my little swing gate, with the help of the community and Roy Eltham, I came up with a physical way to stop trains from actually running themselves over a swing gate. I would never build a swing gate without some kind of physical blocking thing because I'm just not talented enough to not run something off. I have light LEDs direct from a tortoise switch. As I recall, the tortoise has an 8. Yeah, okay. So, Dennis, if you want to wait to answer, and I'll get back to my problem a little bit later. My problem isn't related to a resistor. See, I think I can get it to work, but my brain is not comprehending the wiring that I need to do to get it to work. So I'm like, yeah, I'm having brain problems. Okay, so I already mentioned remount the main camera, which is this camera. I need to flip it upside down, and lighting, right? So I hate that, like, when I need to come over here, it's like, oh, the lighting's dark, and then I got to change the lighting. And then when I come back, like, over here, right, like, the lighting is fine here. But if I, go to this, well, this camera's not on. This is a freeze frame of another thing. But anyway, so I need to fix the lighting in here so that I can move around and show people stuff as well. Cameron, don't think I haven't thought of this. I've said more. I haven't accomplished more. That's the problem. But yeah. So yeah, let's keep going. JMRI. Now, so if you're late, like Sparky, right? Because Sparky wasn't here, we're going to go back to the very beginning. And James, I'm not ignoring you, but I can't. What people don't understand is when you're doing a live stream and people are making comments in the chat, if the comments in the chat don't forward the stream, the person streaming might skip them. They might come back to them later, which is what I'm planning to do with the comments that James is making, because I've been reading them, but I just haven't brought them up. But they're not, like, if I keep going back to everybody's comments every time they make a comment, then I'll never move forward, right? So it's a challenge, right? I try and interact with people as much as possible, but I also kind of want to, like, I don't know, talk about stuff. So that's it. I'm going to talk about some different stuff, and then we'll come back and talk about my problem that I'm racking my head about. All right, so where's the black hat? The black hat's right here. So there's the black hat. So JMRI, the other thing that I lost my cursor. There's my cursor. The other thing I want to spend some more time doing is setting up some of the JMRI stuff. I want to know, James, it's only Tuesday and it's already been a week. It needs a RT on it. It needs an RT on the hat, not an LN on the hat. So once everything's wired and once the track is laid, the only way I'm going to know whether things are working is if I have things set up in JMRI. So I can do a lot of prep work in JMRI now when I need to take a break from things like wiring. So I want to do some panels. I got, if you guys don't know this, Woot is owned by Amazon. What Woot basically does is you can buy, like, overstock things for really cheap, but because Woot is owned by Amazon, when they retire or when they have a bunch of, like, refurbished Fire tablets to sell, you can get them on Woot for really cheap. I know, Cameron actually told me this, but I've already got mine. So these are used, refurbished Fire tablets that are $40 each for a 1080p touchscreen, and this 1080p touchscreen will work fantastically with the JMRI panels for turnout control. So I need to make some panels up. So once I get everything wired, I can check to see if it's actually working. Yeah, so yes, they are fire tablets. Yeah, Cameron, I have too many of them too. I have a smaller one. Here's a 7-inch one that I got. This one's, I like how small it is, but this one's a little too small, I think, for throwing turnouts. So I like the 10-inch ones better. And I've got a bunch of these iPads. So these were pulled out of the trash iPads. And the iPads just have a lower resolution screen on them. So the Fire tablets are great. They'll run Engine Driver as well. Cameron from Caboose 121 uses them for Engine Driver, so they work really great for that. They have cameras in them, just like, you know, other devices. So no, no physical panels on the layout, although it's a good question. What I might do is I got these push buttons. I might connect all of these to all of my turnouts so that if I'm having a panel, if I'm having an issue with one of the turnouts, I have a physical way already set up to throw it to determine whether it's a problem with the programming or whether it's a problem with the turnout. So I do have these. The DCC Concepts switch machines that I use have a connection where these connect up to really easily and do what they do. So yeah, hopefully, I don't know. I think I didn't plug them in. Everything's already turned over and screwed down, so I don't know if I'm going to add them now or just wait until I have a problem and add them once I have a problem. Yes, Cameron's right. Make sure you heed this warning. Beware, there is Amazon bloatware on the Fire tablets. You can just deal with it if you want to deal with it. My understanding is there is a way to sideload Android on it, but blah, 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 blah. That's my fear of going with no panel. What if the Wi-Fi goes down? You know, if I'm having Wi-Fi issues in my office that has a dedicated network specifically for the railroad, I'm having bigger problems. So I'm not worried about having a computer connected to the railroad and having to need a computer to operate the railroad. The other thing is, I have a bunch of old computers, right? So the computer that's going to run the railroad is a 2014 Mac Mini. Mega Multimo, I'll definitely do that for you once I get that set up. The computer I have connected to the railroad is a 2014 Mac Mini. I've got a couple older laptops and stuff as well. I have all of my... I think Dennis is having a stroke. I have all of the setup on the computer it's backed up. So all I need to do should that computer crash is just hook up another computer, back up, and keep going. So I'm, you know, not really worried about it. The two of the layouts that I operate on the most, which is Phil Monot's DNS and Dave Barraza's New York and Atlantic, neither of those would run without a computer. And, you know, those are the ones I run on all the time. And there's never been knock on wood, I know, but there's never been a catastrophic computer failure that has stopped a op session for more than, you know, a couple minutes. All right, so let's see if I can make it through this list so we can talk about my problem that the poll question is about. So operations. The other thing that I want to prep while I'm taking bracing, my thought is when I'm sitting in front of the TV, which I do sometimes at night to kind of relax, and I'm not down here in the train room, that I can do some of these things like the JMRI stuff and some of this ops stuff because it's, you know, on the computer, so I could spend time upstairs and still be doing some computer related stuff. The way all of my stuff is set up is I can access any of these computers from anywhere in the world. So I can access JMRI, I can access all the ops stuff from anywhere. So like when I went to Atlanta recently, I was able to log into stuff and I could work on things on the railroad remotely. So I have decided, I made the commitment, I'm going to give Ship It with car cards a try. The railroad, I'm 99% sure is going to run off of car cards, and Ship It is going to help me because I am not a prototypical modeler and I don't know what I'm doing. So Ship It's going to help me with some of my car movements, just to kind of help me through things. So I have an inventory of a lot of my stuff. So the first thing that I'm going to work on doing is getting my inventory into what's called Railbase, which is the database for Ship It and car cards. And I'll get everything in there, and then I'll start, you know, getting the layout in and start getting my ops scheme going. I know I like car cards and waybills. I just have to make car cards and waybills work, which I'm sure is going to be, you know, I'll figure it out eventually, but it's gonna take me a while. So what made me step away from JMRI Operations Pro is that JMRI Ops Pro is based on switch lists. And while Operations Pro does a great job creating the switch lists, and I think I've learned enough about Operations Pro to understand what I wanted out of a program and what Operations Pro wouldn't provide. And what it really came down to for me is I want something that's, I want something with more of a database, a more robust database. I wanted something that could help me create the waybills for a car card and waybill system. And Operations Pro just wasn't doing that for me. So that's really what that's the simple of it. So hang Wi-Fi cameras. If you guys remember, I used to have all these cameras around the layout. If I hit any of those buttons right now, nothing comes up because none of them are hooked up. I think it'd be good to start hooking up some of the cameras so that when I did decide to turn the lights on in the room, I could hit various buttons, and I could bring up different things. Sorry, I am going to turn on this camera now so we can actually go to this camera in a second. So that's essentially, yeah, so I want to hang the Wi-Fi cameras. Why not? So Derek, I knew 50%, 56% were going to say what? Because I am confusing myself a lot. Just to continue this conversation real quick, the Wi-Fi cameras that I'm using are Eufy, E-U-F-Y. They are a camera from Amazon that was in the news not too long ago. I don't use Amazon's service. I just use the cameras locally, so that works. That works for me. Dennis, yeah, I mean, I think it's good to try a bunch of things. JMRI is free, so I was able to play with it and get some semblance of what it would do and what it wouldn't do. I've also just been to more layouts recently as well. So I've just gotten a lot of experience from different layouts and how different layouts operate, which is what's driving my choices. All right, so here's the thing we need to get to. Here's the poll question. Let's answer the poll question first. So the poll question is, can I use a single pull double throw that is a part of a switch machine to wire up a powered frog and an LED? So, and unfortunately, there is no consensus at this point. 29% says yes, 16% says no. So here's the situation. For the majority of the layout, I am using the DCC Concepts switch machines. The DCC Concept switch machines have a frog output with some circuitry inside of them that allows you to use the frog output to also drive your LEDs. My understanding is it's a single pole double throw switch with a resistor built in, and all that hoopla and whatnot. But I did testing and it works. For this part of the layout, though, I want to use these MP5 switch machines. And the reason is, as you can see, they're very low profile. So we're looking at the bottom of the layout right now, right? So what I want, or what I have with the other part of the layout is I have the DCC Concept switch machine set up to power the frog. They power the frog, they power LEDs that indicate which way the turnout is thrown, and the second single pole double throw switch sends feedback to JMRI so that I will know what position the switch is thrown in. So I could do this, right? Like I'm trying to not add additional things like this, but I could definitely do it this way. But my understanding is, and maybe I'm just misunderstanding the reading, but I keep reading things that say you can control the frog and indicator LEDs off of the same single pole double throw switch. But I think that only works on DC, not on DCC. And I think that's where I'm getting confused, because I am guessing, and I don't know how it's doing it, but my guess is that somehow, oh, come on, Dennis, jeez. Tell Gail to stop bothering. No, I'm just kidding. So what I'm trying to figure out is whether with these MP5, so the MP5s have two single pole double throw switches on them, right? So the one I'm dedicating to the feedback, but then the other one I could either power the frog or I can control the LEDs. But maybe I can do both things. But I don't know. And I'm trying to, like, I've looked online, I've looked around, and I'm trying to figure out whether it'll work. So I am using, oh, and so maybe this is the solution. I am using a 3-wire, maybe that's the solution. I'm using 3-wire motor control to control the MP5s. So there's a common and 2 hots that are going to drive the motor. And I have a 12-volt DCC power supply that is going to power which direction the motor is in. So maybe I can use the same circuit that is powering the LED as the one that is throwing. So maybe see, and this is where my brain's starting to hurt. So I'm coming to you guys, basically, I'm hoping that someone's going to jump on my Discord after tonight's show, and they're going to post a drawing for me on Discord that says, here's the MP5 switch machine using 3-wire control. 1 single pole double throw will be for feedback. 1 single pole double throw will be for powering the frog. And then maybe that's what it is the same control wires that are powering the switch machine can be the ones that control the LED. So the DCC concept switch machines are kind of a little bit more like a SMAIL than they are like a tortoise, but they have they're sort of more like a SMAIL. So yes, this is specific to the MP5. So it is only specific to these 6 switch machines. It's not specific to anything else. Luke wired his up using local button control, so he doesn't have a DCC stationary decoder or anything for his stuff. So the way he wired the stuff up won't work for what I am trying to do. So Derek says, what is your reason to try this system and not Walthers or Tortoise SMAILs? Is the number of turnouts and the cost? It is the depth of the turnout. So these turnout switch machines are only this deep, right? So this will mount on the bottom of your Benchwork, and these are only about 3/4 or I think 0.79 inches, so just over 3/4 deep. So in this one area of my layout, things are going to be elevated. So I think I've kind of showed this before, right? But this area, I don't know if anything's going to fall off. Let's find out. This one section of the layout is going to be elevated. So everything on this side is basically going to be like up on, as if they're up on bridges. So what I did, or what I wanted to do, was not have the switch machines. I'm adjusting the camera so I can show this. So I didn't want the switch machines hanging down. I can get closer. Let me get closer. I didn't want the switch machines hanging down from under the layout 2 inches or more, right? So here's a switch machine tucked up under here, and they're nice and hidden out of the way, right? But if we look over here, and I'll turn that on, give us a little backlight, which will show it. If we look over here, the depth of these switch machines, so this is the narrow depth of this switch machine. But these switch machines back here, which are kind of hard to see, but this is the full depth of like a tortoise. So these are just a lot deeper. You know, this is 2 inches here. From the bottom here to this is 2 inches. So this is, those other switch machines are a lot less deep. So that's why I'm using these and where I want to use them. Did he start over yet? No, I didn't start over yet. LEDs were associated with the power to the motor. Frog wire came from the DCC bus. So maybe that's where I've been going wrong. Oh, meant to click on this one again. That's probably what I've been doing wrong, is I need to probably just use the DC power that I'm going to use to actually drive the motor to control those LEDs. Why are we talking about money? What was Derek's question about money? But yeah, so as I said, the Walthers or the tortoise or the Smales don't work because of their height. So that's the problem. I needed to go with something that was not as high. Yeah, so the MP1s are great as well. The MP1s are similar to the MP5. They just have one less single pull double throw. I wanted the feedback, which is why I got the other one. Yeah, so it's a lot of wiring, I guess. You can kind of see, so what's hanging down, like these that are hanging down, these are all my feeder wires, so they're pre-run, but until I run the track, I'm not going to run the feeder wires. These connectors that are here, these are just for the LEDs, and the DCC for the switch machines. But yeah, I mean, it's, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of wire under there, but it's all very neatly labeled, all very neatly organized as well. Yeah, so it's great. The Walthers are 1.4. You know, that's about what these are. That's about what these are when they're mounted like that as well. These are about 1.5, I guess, in this orientation. So they're fine for that. They just don't work for what I need. Will this be able to be IoT or just local control? Everything will be able to be controlled from wherever. That's, I guess, sort of one thing that I want to be able to do, is to have, yeah, I just think that's fun. You know, some people like building structures, some people like doing scenery, some people like doing weathering, some people like, you know, all kinds of things. I like the electronic side of stuff. Once I get the track laid and I get things running, I'm going to have people come over and do my scenery. I just don't want to do the scenery. Heath, power your machine and LEDs from a separate power source and track from the bus. Yeah, this is what I'm starting to think. That's what I'm starting to realize, is that the LEDs need to be powered off of the DC motor control for the you know, that's going to power the switch machine. So I think what I'll do is, I do have a couple extra sitting here as well. I'm going to do a test before I get any further with the wiring of that section. The wiring is going very well. I'm very close to being finished, but then I realized that, you know, I kind of screwed up. But I think what I've just learned is going to end up working out really well. And see, we came to it, we figured it out together. We figured it out. So no, the motors are not, these are not DCC. These are DC only. So I can use the wires that are controlling this switch motor to control the LEDs, which is what I was not thinking of before. So these are DC only. I'm using a stationary decoder to convert from DCC to DC to drive these, which is not completely true because there's separate anyway. I am happy to help. I get that this is complicated. This is the part of the modeling that I enjoy. It's just kind of what it is. So I ended the poll, but the poll's not relevant anymore because the question wasn't a good question, or the question didn't have the solution within the answers to the poll. Roy says, just make sure you have the appropriate resistors for the 12-volt power. Yeah, the LEDs that I got, that I'm using everywhere, actually, they're 24. Yeah, there you go. Roy says, the poll didn't have the correct answer. Yes. So the only correct answer was the third answer, which was the answer indicating you didn't understand the questions, but I guess I should have had an answer. Anyway, all of the LEDs that I got are actually, they're all 12-volt LEDs. I don't know if you probably can't see. This is 12 volt on them. So they got resistors for up to 12 volts, or for 24 volts. So if I run them at 12 volts, they will just be dimmer, which is what I want anyway, is for them to be dimmer. These switch machines will go up to 14 volts DC. So if I do need to make them, the LEDs, a little bit brighter, I could increase the voltage of these a little bit more. But I don't mind the dimness of the LEDs. I'm already planning on potentially needing to paint over the lenses to dim the LEDs. So if they're already a little bit dimmer, that's okay, because all I want them to be is indications of which way the switch is thrown, because people like me, if you've watched any of my previous videos, can't seem to... I look at the switches, I stare at the switches is in the right direction. I stare at the switch, and then I throw the switch in the wrong direction and attempt to run the train over it. So the whole point of the LEDs is for people like me that are terrible at figuring out which direction the switches are in. That's actually a great question. I am not using red and green LEDs. I am using green and yellow LEDs. And the reason is my theory. My theory was that a green LED would mean like, go ahead, go through, right? And the yellow LED generally means that you are okay to proceed, but I forget what it actually means, but it's like, it's proceed cautiously or something like that. So when the turnout motor is diverging, it's going to be a yellow light. And when the turnout motor is straight through, it's going to be a green light. The idea being is if you're an operator and you see a yellow, you know it's going to be on the diverging route, so you should proceed cautiously and not derail. If it's straight through and it's green, go ahead. Yep, so Walther's got the idea from me. They pay a royalty to me every month for the choice of the color of their LEDs. If you don't know, that is a complete joke. Interesting point, Ralph. If I stick with 12 volts, the switches will go a touch slower. That's true too. I don't need the LEDs to be brighter. I mean, that's the reality of it. I do the same thing. That's why I wanted routes. I don't even need LEDs. So I've operated on one layout that has routes, but the panel I find so confusing that even when I think that I have set the route correctly, I've still messed something up. So I'm going to have individual control of turnouts. I'm going to have the ability to set routes. I'm also going to have indicators so that the operators and me will actually you know, be able to figure out what they're doing. But yeah, so that's kind of my story. That's what I'm up to. I've got, you know, this whole list of non, I mean, they're not non-layout related. I guess they're just layout adjacent type of things that I'll be working on. But here, you know, here's the layout. This is hopefully what it's going to look like. So if you don't know what's been kind of wired and screwed, excuse me, what's been wired and screwed down, right? Like if we go to this view, so this side over here is wired and screwed down, right? All the benchwork is screwed down there, so I can't flip it over anymore. But what that is that's this side of the layout here. I think you can see my cursor, yeah. So that's this side of the layout here. What I'm working on right now is this section over here, which is my elevated section, which is why I'm having my turnout motor problems. But yeah. Oh yeah, it's Denny, I think, right? Denny from Distance Signal has some really great videos on signaling aspect lights. Heiss, Hyce, also has a really good video. I think it's from a couple years ago now at this point, but really good video on signaling and aspects. The hard thing about signaling and aspects is depending on the layout you go to, the signaling and aspects might be different, because if you're operating on a modern layout, some modern signaling is different than some signaling from many years ago. Also, if you're on a East Coast layout versus a West Coast layout, some of the signals and stuff will be different. So I know the basic signaling enough to, well, I run through signals all the time, but I know the signaling based enough. I don't know all the details of it. Like there's not red over yellow. There's yellow over red, I think, or red over yellow and red over green and green over red and flashing this and flash. So yeah, I hope it's gonna work out. I hope so. Yeah, I'm gonna do something similar to this. It's all gonna be through JMRI though, so I can adjust things. Basically, like if I'm operating the layout and the routes don't work for the way the layout's going to be operated, I want it to be flexible enough, to do things like that. So yeah. But anyway, that's my story. I'm gonna say thank you to everybody. I appreciate all the support that everyone's given me. So I'm gonna play my thank you video. And then I'm going to play the end of show video. But if you do have any questions or you do have any thoughts on the wiring, on how to make it work, please let me know. I'm definitely getting somewhere though. I'm further along today than I was previously. From the city that never sleeps, farewell, model citizens.
It's all about humanity. About humanity. It's all about humanity. About humanity. It's all about humanity. It's all about humanity. About humanity. It's all about humanity. About humanity. It's all about humanity. It's all about humanity. About humanity. It's all about humanity.